thing on the agenda is a pledge allegiance. It's going to be done by the Hot Springs Elementary School flag team. Everybody stand.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's good, guys. Thanks, fellas.
Forward face. March.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good work, Scott.
Bring it back in and their parents can get a picture up here.
Come on back. Everybody, come on. Okay.
All right. This is the big wheels of the county. Okay? These are the movers and shakers. Make sure they know who you are.
Come on around through here.
Come on around, guys.
Sure. Come on around through.
You are the future movers and shakers of this county.
Thank y'all for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Y'all did a good job.
Good to see you, girl.
Good to see you.
Are we have Nina too?
Okay. Thank you.
All right. They're available anytime you need.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is Scott Hodge, School Resource Officer, Hot Springs. Scott, we appreciate your leadership. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all for having
There's the room. There's the room. Next on the agenda is a moment of silence. We need an agenda approval. We need to add Ross to item 6C, RFQ for Mars Hill Water and Sewer. Also, add in the county manager report for the lottery fund application.
And Mr. Chairman, could we also, in item H, be Madison County, just beside that, put ordinance violation?
Okay, sure. Got that on H, 10H, ordinance violation.
What's the other thing, Mr. Chair, that you're adding to county manager?
That is the school system's lottery fund application.
Oh, lottery funds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is that going to be Jay?
And actually be just included in my update.
Okay.
Got approval of agenda.
With those changes, I make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Second.
Two.
All in favor? Moving on, approval of the March 8th, 2022 special meeting. March 8th, 2022 special minutes. March 23rd, 2022 special minutes. March 31st, 2022 special minutes. Just had time to look at those.
Mr. Chair, having reviewed those when they were emailed to us earlier, several days ago, and finding no problems with any of them, I move that they be approved as submitted.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Next on the agenda is public comment. We don't have anybody signed up on public comment. Item 4, Brad Gov, Development Services Director.
Good evening, sir.
Good
Good evening, Brad.
Thank you, gentlemen. Got an update for the first quarter of the year for the Development Services Department. I've almost been here that long as well, so I appreciate you all having trust in me to lead this department. And I do have a lot of activities to report on. I'm going to start off with the comprehensive land use plan update. We have launched that effort. And we have a new website up, which is www.planmc.org, that you all can visit. And it has a list of all of our community meetings, as well as a community survey, an individual survey, and also a visual preference survey on that site. You could submit your feedback online this year. As well as attend one of our 8 public meetings. We've had 4 of those meetings so far. Most recently, Spring Creek, that had over 60 people in attendance at Spring Creek. So we had a lot of very good input so far. I did share with you by email the survey results that we've been getting on the webpage, and I'll go through a couple of those updates now. We have had about 904 visits to the webpage. We've had 120 surveys completed, and we've had 35 of the community surveys completed through our webpage. I'll also be getting you the minutes from the meetings at the various community centers in Marshall and Mars Hill, in terms of the community input that people have made at those meetings. I think I would just mention that we have we've updated our webpage to include a visual preference survey. I was just at the Arts Council before this meeting, at their board meeting. They're going to partner with us on that to help us get people to include photos from the community of things that they like in this community and things that they'd like to see improved and changed. And you'll be able to visit our website and see all those pictures on that page. I did want to remind you of the remainder of the process. Once we're done with public input in April, at the end of this month, we'll work to complete the plan and have a draft plan to the planning board at their May meeting. And there'll be a public hearing for that at the planning board. And then after it passes the planning board, it'll be recommended to you all for a public hearing at one of your upcoming meetings as well in June. So a very similar process to what Land to Sky did before. We followed that process pretty much to the T. And did it for obviously a lot cheaper than what you paid for the Land to Sky to facilitate the planning process. But we're going to have a very streamlined plan ready for you on July, hopefully ready for you in June and to be passed by July 1, which is the statutory mandate for the plan to be done. Now, of course, once it's done in July 2nd, you can come back and change everything you want in the whole plan. So don't feel like it's set in stone or you can't change anything, because you will be able to change it. That's simply a mandate from the state saying that they want everybody to have an updated plan done by that. So, and I would hope that we can set up regular visits to the plan, at least on an annual basis, so we can measure the progress, because I do think that things that get measured get done. And rather than to do the plan and then put it up on a shelf and wait 10 more years to do another one, I think we need to follow through on this plan and maybe do some annual updates and for that plan. Are there any questions on the planning process? Our next meeting is in Marshall. Actually, it's Thursday at 6, and then we have the Laurel Community Center Monday, April 18th at 6:30, and then Hot Springs Library on the 19th at 6:30.
Brad, I want to say a couple things. One is the visual image, likes and dislikes, that's a great idea.
So,
And it's
so
easy to say that this is.
pictures worth 1,000 words, exactly.
I
So,
like that, and I also love the idea of the fact that we can have regular or annual revisits, updates, benchmarks to see where we're at and how we need to adjust incrementally through the analysis to see that we're headed in the direction the community wants us to. So both
sir.
of those are really good. I like the idea of it. Also, I'm glad you clarified, just because we approve a comprehensive plan, the timeline is just present an updated one. We still have opportunity after that to continue to make revisions on whatever basis we see
Correct.
necessary.
and in fact, I have had some discussions with members of the Recreation Board who would like to possibly explore adding a section for the Recreation Department into the comprehensive plan. So that would be an example of how that could be amended once we get the plan completed.
I know there was some concern, the recreation, having maybe an opportunity to attach to it. Also, some of the first meetings weren't as attended as widely as we hoped they would be, but it's just a lack of information that was disseminated out to them. Sounds like based on Spring Creek, we're getting a lot better at that. So even with all that said, maybe we didn't get the initial onset of attendance, we're getting it now, and people still have an opportunity to go to one of these other meetings, different communities.
And you're exactly right. And we have and certainly would be willing to go to any community group or to meet with them individually if they requested that. So we've made that offer on the webpage. So if somebody has a community group that they'd like us to come do a facilitation for the plan we'd be happy to do that for their individual group as well.
Excellent.
So if there's no other questions, I'll move to a couple of economic development updates. Our Johnny 5-0 project is almost to completion. We went for a tour at our last economic development board meeting. Mars Hill has passed their economic development incentive program, and it just needs to be signed by the business itself. And then we should see an announcement for Johnny 5-0.
Is that something we can, there's been this discussion why we still have to call it Johnny 5-0, why it's secret. The governor's not running this year, so it's not a political photo opportunity. So I guess my question is can we reach out and find out where we're at on moving forward, that place is established, the work's being done, and
We certainly can. I think it's just a good practice to keep it anonymous until the public announcement's made. I think that's why we're
Well, I agree
continuing
with that.
to
My question
continue
is,
to.
can we help facilitate the
I
state
understand.
and make that public announcement?
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
No worries. In site of identification, you all hired Sanford Holzhauser to do a site identification plan, and we do have the final results of that, and the Economic Development Board is reviewing that, and I'm sure that once that's done, we'll share that with everybody and have the opportunity to discuss those different various sites. Project Freeze, we are continuing to work with the prospects on Project Freeze. So we should see some additional activity on that in the coming months. And our manufacturing art park, the next sculpture that's going to be completed is for Bucci, and it's going to be a sculpture with using Bucci glass, the glass bottles. And we were actually visiting Christoph Galis, who's the sculptor for this project. We went there Friday and got a sneak peek of the sculpture, and it's going to be a magnificent addition to the art park. Building inspections, We had 100 permits in the first quarter, which is a record for Madison County. And we will, if we continue on that pace, we'll far exceed anything that we've done in recent years. Gordon Parker completed his plumbing licensing. He's got a couple other licenses to update. Sylvia Shelton celebrated her 19 years with the county. So that was a big milestone for Sylvia. And our GIS has completed the 2021 deeds and is working on the data for the comprehensive plan. Of course, as you all know, a lot of the data is from the census, and Jeff is working on putting all of that in the tables and charts for our comprehensive plan, and he also is managing the Plan MC website. So that's the first quarter for 2022. If there's any questions.
On these 100 permits, Brad, is that houses?
Yes, and there are additional, there's another, I think there was a, I forget the number, but I'll get that to you. In terms of individual permits, there were many more, for
New structure.
yes. So, but we've done a lot of individual permits for heating and air systems and things like that that are not identified there.
Any idea of what rough ballpark, what we would expect in a normal quarter?
I don't know, but I'll find out for you.
Be interesting as far as
Yep.
resource allocation for manpower.
For sure.
You know the square footage on these, Brad?
I don't know that either.
Just figuring taxes.
Yeah.
Revenue.
Can't spend it till you make it, sir.
Revenue. They should be in for Christmas.
Thank you for your.
Thank you, Brad.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you, Brad.
Next on the agenda is Mr. Lewis Roberts, Emergency Management Coordinator.
Evening, Lewis.
Good evening, gentlemen.
How's Lewis?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
So tonight, I just wanted to make you aware, Emergency Management Fire Marshal's Office has obtained a drone. This will be used for search and rescue, fires, situational awareness, finding lost persons. Give you a little bit of background on the system. We purchased it from Airworks Unmanned Solutions, and they are a company that provides, or they specialize in UAS services for public safety. The aircraft is a DJI Mavic Enterprise Advanced. It's got a visual camera with zoom capabilities and thermal imaging all in one package. The aircraft will be used, like I said, for situational awareness and fire, search and rescue. Currently, myself and one other member of my EM staff are 107 certified by the FAA as pilots. What I'm here tonight is for your approval of the standard operating procedures for using the aircraft.
And do we have that here?
Yes.
Lewis, having reviewed that, that's pretty much a cut and paste of a state.
It is.
regular-
Yes.
and
Yeah, I pulled that from
according to
state
federal
SOP
guidelines.
and other agencies that have outstanding UAS programs.
Make that motion.
Second.
Discussion?
I assume Donnie's reviewed it.
Have,
Everything in order, Mr. Attorney?
yes, sir.
It looked like a boilerplate from like she said from other places, so.
It-
I think it's awesome that you have that thermal imaging.
Yes, sir.
I think that is a step in the right direction.
What's the range on that, Lewis?
It varies based on atmospheric conditions. Normal day, you could probably get 3-4 miles. Which, according to FAA regulations, you have to keep it within line of sight, of course. But if you can keep it within that line of sight, you can do 3 or 4 miles.
Consistent with the demo you did here.
Yes.
What about nighttime usage?
Nighttime is approved by the FAA under current licenses.
Are you licensed for night?
I am. Yes. Anybody now that gets their 107 after that date already they have that automatically.
So, just curious, can your services be enlisted by law enforcement if we've got a bad guy on the run? You can.
That is part of the policy. I made sure to write that in. Anyone that is wanted or suspected of a felony, we are able to assist in that. If it's safe to do
I just
so.
want to make sure the bad guys heard that. So,
Right.
Matt, you pre-planned?
No. Trying to nip it in the bud, as Barney would say.
Well, if you're doing lost person on the trail, you're doing a kid in the neighborhood, you're doing,
River rescue.
river rescue.
Exactly.
I think we've used some. I know
We have. In the
made
past,
private.
we've used from Rims Creek Fire Department, Broad River Fire Department. They have excellent drone programs, and I tried to base ours off of theirs, and it is an excellent tool.
Yeah, well done.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Good
Thank
job.
you, Louis.
Thank you,
Lewis.
gentlemen.
Good leadership.
Thank you, Lewis.
Hey, Louis, next time you have it up, I want a demonstration.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me.
Can we drop Easter eggs with that?
Next on the agenda
Second head.
is Ross Young.
Just hovering over Greg's house, and we'll all come see it over
Yeah.
there.
It'd be boring.
Evening, Ross.
Hey, Ross,
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
how are you?
I'm good, but mine's not near as cool as Lewis's, unfortunately.
Hope yours is important.
Mine's
You drop the
important.
funds to buy some drones for us?
Well, it's up to you.
All right.
So I do need votes on stuff I've got in front of you today. You should see, I'm looking first at an eligibility determination policy, which you should have in your packet, not pocket. As I said, each time I come to you, I will probably bring another policy because there's several that we have to go through. And again, this one is cut and paste. Insert Madison County where needed. Make sure there's a few things maybe that we change and tweak, and attorney looks at it and gives his thumbs up before I bring it to you. So if there's any questions on that, basically what this policy does is it defines the permissible and prohibited uses of the coronavirus state and local recovery funds. It also outlines the procedures for determining how the county will spend these funds. Second page of it specifies that it's not numbered, but below the numbers 1 through 5, you'll see whereas County of Madison has elected to take the standard allowance. So that's basically describes that in that policy, which frees up a lot of stuff for us.
Ross, just a quick question in that section 3, which is right under there. I think Commissioner Wakefield has a question as well, but these particular line items, we put project codes, can those change the money that's allocated into those just for now? Or is that,
So right now I am looking at a policy. I am not looking at the grant project ordinance yet.
Yeah, he's on the next one.
I'm on the one that's got,
I saw number 2 here, it says it'll take the standard allowance. That's the reason.
it speaks to that on both of these
I
documents.
got you.
It's
And
not
we'll-
in order in our electronic file, the same.
Yeah, I didn't know which order you had it.
No worries. If you're like me, whatever you guess, it's gonna be the opposite, so.
Yeah, especially with,
And this, just for the purposes of the public, this language is all based on language required by the U.S. Treasury, correct?
correct.
And Donnie's reviewed all this too, correct?
Yes, sir. And this is ordinance with a resolution.
What you're looking at now is simply a policy that outlines some spending
Okay, so
permissions and things we can't spend on, that type of
is that a
thing.
resolution?
Yes, it is a
I heard you
requirement.
say something about ordinance.
Yeah, we'll speak to the ordinance in just a
Okay.
moment.
So we need a motion, that's correct.
I make a motion, we accept this resolution.
Second, discussion. All in favor?
Trust me, it gets confusing to me too, so thank you.
It's just a prerequisite. You can't spend the money without these things being in order.
Every one of these policies have to be in order, exactly. The second one is something you've seen before, and if you'll look closely, you have 2 copies that are different. If you got both of them, were you given a previous copy of the grant project ordinance? You may or may not have been given the old one.
No, I think we just have the new one.
Okay, I'll explain to you what the old one said. I wanted you to see both so you knew what you were voting on. Because with a grant project ordinance, as you recall, it is a budget basically that you approve that goes beyond your normal budgeting cycle. It can follow the entire length of the grant, the time span of the grant. So it's specific for this grant, and we can amend it every week if we want to. And there's needs to amend this one today. And what I'm asking you to amend on this one, as opposed to what you approved a month or so ago, is section 2 and section 3. So section 2 in our own grant project ordinance states what you were referencing just a few moments ago of the county taking the standard allowance, which we talked quite at length about that and how that allows us to run these funds, outside of being held to those other categories you listed. As you can see, it listed 1 through 4 of COVID relief and premium pay. We're not in those categories. We're in that lost revenue standard allowance election.
And this was based on the amount of money that, allocation that was given to us to start with. We were given the ability to do that.
Exactly. Anybody with 10 million or less were allowed to take this. And that wasn't the case to begin with. So we spent a lot of wheels figuring out all these other pieces of it. And then they came back and said it's too complicated for anybody making 10 million or less. Take the standard allowance, and to my knowledge, everybody who has got 10 million or less is doing exactly that.
The reporting process is far easier, the documentation, the management of it.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Should
So
go with my tax.
that statement, section 2, that's all that says. Section 3 gives us a outline of a budget. And section 3 basically defines how we're going to try to utilize these funds in the best way possible to minimize our burden and maximize our flexibility. So we again spoke about some of this once before in a planning session to talk about how to move these monies through. This process is also very highly recommended by School of Government and is being followed by basically everybody in that 10 million and under category, to utilize funds to pay for the categories you see here, especially the first 2. Now, number 3 is a broadband category that I put in there because we specifically spoke about helping off or match some funds for broadband because of a grant that they've got that requires dedicated funds for that. That one is still up in the air. There are so many unanswered questions about how that's going to work and what that means for us. I'm confident that we will be coming back to that conversation more, and this may totally change. Number 3 could change the next time we meet, or I could be asking you to change it.
My recollection of that discussion was that we were gonna set aside 100,000, and this calls for 50, so what's up with that?
It did. So we talked, and I think you guys did maybe vote on 100,000. And then when we talked about it, there was a $50,000 threshold that I brought to you and spoke to the fact that threshold could open some doors we may not want opened. So I questioned in my mind, did we agree on 50 or did we agree on 100? So I expected you to ask that question. At this point in time, it doesn't limit us to that. It's basically an estimated budget, and it keeps us under the threshold. We can amend this anytime we want to, and go back up to that. There are so many elements to matching that grant that you may not enjoy, that we may need to talk about later, that whether it's 50 or 100 may be an irrelevant conversation. I mean, it's very relevant, if we end up spending it, but we're not there yet. We're not spending this money yet. It's not going anywhere yet. I promise you we will not spend it until we're clear on what's being spent and where.
The only thing I'm uncomfortable with is, I've only been in this for a little while, but boy, once it's out there, it's really hard to unedge the stone. And I'm seeing nothing in regard to, and I get recommendations, but I'm seeing nothing in regard to capital projects within the county, or not to say we couldn't say how we're going to do it, but we vote on this. Tommy's shaking his head, but he's long drawn.
I understand what you're doing. All this does is free up the money for us to do it for those other projects. We do not have to put what projects we're using it for.
But we have kind of put them under a description here.
Well, it puts it under the descriptions that you have to outline in the ARPA funds, because you can use it to replace lost revenues. What we're doing is putting it all to replace salaries, to supplement salaries. That will satisfy ARPA. That's where we use the word supplant, if you'll remember. So by doing this, that frees up all of that money for you to use as you are moving through your budget process. So,
Can we put a post-it note right below that?
um,
I'm just kidding. Thank you, Donnie.
Thank you.
I understand it. I'm just,
Yeah.
skeptical.
Mhm.
Thank you.
At least yeah.
I understand. I have sat through hours and hours and hours of people asking the same questions you're asking and hearing the explanations, as Donnie so nicely put it, over so many times. I'm now a believer. But maybe I've drunk the Kool-Aid. So, you know, ask all the questions you want to ask. Doesn't hurt my feelings
I'm
at all.
just careful because Lewis is here from Emergency Management Services.
Mhm.
Thank you, Ross.
Yes.
The reality of it is, we did vote. Man, how that's gonna affect this, considering it was a legislative action. Donnie, maybe you can.
you vote on it, any votes you would take later that would be any different would supersede that earlier vote.
Chairman, I move we approve as recommended.
Second.
Discussion? Matt, thank
You know, I'm thinking the last time I heard draft budget, Garrison and I got snookered, so that's what I'm thinking. That's
you.
my concern.
Got to get the plan.
So
Mhm.
All in favor?
that's my reservation.
Well, just for the record, I'm not saying anybody on this board would do that. But I am saying that government in general has a propensity that once something's wrote down, it's written and it's there. Plus, I want to make sure that public service, safety services, and emergency management and broadband services realize this isn't a blank check. So, and I know we gotta describe it somewhere. All right, there we
Just the
go.
beginning. All in favor?
It's kind of weak.
That's we.
We know you're not snookering, that's okay.
That's all right. It doesn't. A lot of money. I need you to ask hard questions. You're taking care of stuff that's important to me. So it doesn't
Well,
bother
people
me
are
at all.
gonna ask hard questions of us.
Well, they are.
And we know that to be a fact. There are people who are watching how municipalities and county government
Very much. So.
allocate, spend these funds. So
That's very important. I agree that the
What
outreach
we
piece
just
of it.
voted for gives us the maximum flexibility under the law.
I
Yes.
just wish we could write that right under it.
I think Donnie would concur with that.
Under the section.
You want me to give you a legal opinion on that?
No, I just want you to sign something.
Want me to vote?
I promise. That's
All right,
Lord God.
continuing.
It's okay. The additional piece that was added to the agenda is the RFQ for water sewer for the towns of, not Hot Springs, Marshall and Mars Hill.
Yes, sir.
I do not have a copy of that in front of me. For whatever reason, it would not print. I drafted it and I saved it, but then when I pulled it back up, it would not open and print. I think you guys have a copy of it. If you do not, what this is a request for engineering, consulting, permitting, bidding, and design services.
I don't have that.
No, that is,
This is the only copy we
Okay,
got.
it's not a packet either. I didn't see it there as well.
This was added today, as you
It is
recall,
the
when
one
we
That's the
started the
agenda
meeting.
Approved.
edition.
And this was, again, I did not write all this. I wrote part of it, but I think Mandy had a big part in helping find a good template for us to follow and tweaked it for a lot of what fit for this need. And then I went over it, and then Mr. Laws went over it, and then the draft that is not in front of you, the draft that's in front of me, is something that we'll push out to engineering firms to get them to bid on this project.
I think the only two things I have a question about that, just our clarity, and since I don't have it in front of me to review, is, and it is for water and sewer from Mars Hill to Marshall, and is it specific enough to where we can assess, this is what it would be per foot, per mile, per,
yes.
just make an assessment on how far we can get from each way if that was.
And
can't
it
do the
is,
whole
it
thing.
is the one which has been approved by both Marshall and Mars Hill, as we discussed in the
Right.
previous meeting. And it
And that
does,
was to vote to work towards the middle, correct? I mean, water and sewer, not just.
it is both water and sewer.
As we discussed.
And Donna, you,
Yes, sir.
yes,
Some clarity on that as to why I'm the one presenting this is the original funds that I'm in control of that you just agreed upon, this is separate from, but it originated from ARPA.
yes.
So they kind of asked me to pull in and put my fingerprint on this a little bit. So I've met with the towns, I've met with the county manager on some of this. I don't know a lot about it. I'm trying to learn as we go. But,
Well, and I appreciate the board being a little expeditious and you stepping in to help with it and done it. And man, stuff like this could have a propensity to drag on for years.
Oh, yeah.
This is gonna specifically give us information that may help us in other funding opportunities should there not be sufficient funding for the entire project. So timing is.
As we said over and over again, everybody else has this money coming, everybody else is looking for the same engineer that we are. We had better move.
yeah, that's the fear. I'm hearing that in conversations is that
Sir.
you may not even get bids because they're so
Correct.
busy.
Yes.
Well, part of it is still is the requirement still in there that says if you engineer it, then you can't bid on the project later?
It
Yes.
is.
So, I mean,
Yes,
that's gonna be, that handcuffs everybody right out of the box. That's the biggest thing. I will say though, I'm not, while I appreciate, and I've been a huge proponent of this project from the get-go, and I appreciate everything being done expeditiously, I'm not in favor of the old, you have to vote for it before you get to see what's in it. And so I would ask that we postpone this, later into the meeting so I can have an opportunity to review it.
Yes.
Thanks.
No problem. You'll be happy.
Thank you, gentlemen.
to hear that.
If we could defer it later down into the agenda, Mr. Chair, I would
Yes,
appreciate the opportunity to take a look at this.
No problem.
Thank you.
Well done, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Ross.
Next,
Not that I don't trust you, Ross.
Hey, love your brother.
Gary Lee.
Gary.
Good evening,
Here's our finance.
gentlemen. Okay, so before you find item A, which is budget amendment number 10. This amendment records a lot of things. I think this is the largest one I have submitted to you all this year. It records the additional revenue received by the tax office as well as increased sales tax monies. Also recording additional revenues received into the occupancy tax fund. And if you recall, the additional revenue received into that account gets dispersed back out to the county at 3% and to the TDA at 97%. Please approve the movement of the lapsed salaries for your maintenance department to cover additional costs relating to the increase of the cost of fuel, as well as additional costs for the repairs at the detention center. In anticipation of costs relating to the legal fees for the departmental services department, as well as costs relating to the mowing contracts in your Parks and Rec department, you will find an additional $53,000 and $21,000 respectively for those two departments. Your animal control department has secured two new funding sources, one being the Wilkinson Foundation grant and the other a donation for emergency vet care in the amount of $15,000. The Sheriff's Department received a grant in the amount of $21,010 for the purchase of body cameras, and the specifics of that grant are within your backup documents.
Is that body cams or dash cams?
Body cams.
It is body cam.
It's body
There
cam.
was something else for dash cams, was there not?
Doctor, maybe you can test that. The car cams are like $3,000 to $6,000. Body cameras are $600 to $1,000, so they opted for the body cameras.
We were going for the ones in the car. Chief is correct. We were going with those, and then we saw a better deal, the ones that actually will talk back and forth to the ones in the car eventually. So we're gonna get in the right century. So that's why we're going body.
We ain't gonna have cars to put them in, but we're gonna have, we're gonna do somebody.
Your emergency management department received reimbursement for COVID relief funds from FEMA, and that amount is included here as well. And you will see the recording of the revenue from the quarter-cent sales tax for the Board of Education in the amount of $41,660.95.
here, just to, just a point of clarity, 6,000 plus 53, so the estimated legal counsel just for developmental services is $59,000.
No, 53,000.
But there's 6 already there,
6 already.
6,000, just looking at,
The 6,000 is already where?
That was a budgeted number for this year.
We've already
it
used
says,
some of
it
that.
says present 6,000.
We probably have already used most
So
of
that, would
that.
that be 6 at, because it says now the news 59, is the reason I'm asking.
That's correct then, yes.
And, see, I have one more question, sorry.
That's okay.
The 2,500 for travel,
Where we're increasing that.
Was that due to gas?
Department of Developmental Services.
I believe that's what Norris and I had talked about, was it not, Norris? I
Yes, and,
had asked you that we take that up.
yeah, and we will discuss that more later. We're budgeting it, but we need to move the line items for budget, not for necessary expense.
Correct.
Here we go again.
And just one more, and I'll leave you alone.
No, you're fine.
You do good work. The problem is you're complicated, and I'm not, so I'm going to ask more questions. Well, me trying to keep up with all this.
No, you're good.
Under salaries, for Sheriff's Office 29,341, it's that a budget amendment to adjust their salaries or is that COVID expenditure?
That's COVID expenditures that they incurred that we are now paying them back.
Okay. And I guess, have we started dispersing to mostly the Sheriff's Office Health Department, the people that have,
The sheriff's department is who in this fiscal year has had the most COVID expenses
okay,
due to the outbreaks of it.
and we are reimbursing those as the documentation is presented?
That's correct.
Awesome, that's really what I want to know. I figured that's what it was. Thank you.
This receipt for the trailer, is that surplus property we sold? Is that what that receipt's for?
Yes.
Okay.
Just for the record, you're not complicated. Your work is.
Oh, thank you.
No, she's pretty comfortable. I don't know.
Maybe so.
About that.
Maybe so.
I'm not sure if I complimented you just then.
I don't know. I don't
It's
know.
all been just-
I'll take it either way. It's fine. It's fine.
It is a very
Complicated, you're
large,
confusing, Mike.
it is a very large budget amendment, but
Yes.
it was well laid out.
Thank you.
It makes sense.
Thank you.
So, motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Michael, you're studying over there awful hard.
No, I'm just get through the hoops here.
Good, man.
I've looked at it yesterday.
He's reading something else.
No, I've looked at it. I looked at it ahead of time, so.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Carrie.
you, gentlemen. Item B, you'll see March's financial reports. And at the top of the first page, you'll see that we are 75% through with this year. And on the second page, that for all the funds, we've received 90% of our revenues and our expenses are at 64.88%.
So you're comfortable where we are then, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Are we about where we got last year or a little ahead?
We're a little ahead in revenues for sure.
Good deal. Yeah.
Moving on, if you all are ready. Item C, this is the agreement with Maximus. It's a 3-year agreement for their continued work. They provide our annual cost allocation reports that we have each year. I've spoken with Attorney Laws, and he recommends that we add our standard addendum to it. But other than that, this has met his seal of approval.
You need
We do need a motion.
So after reading that contract, if you didn't already know what Maximus did, you would not know what Maximus does.
It's true.
Because that contract is so
Vague.
ridiculously vague. Yeah.
In the Exhibit A, I had to read, I know what they do, so, but I
Right.
had to, because I was trying, I thought, ooh, if someone asks me, I have to be able to answer what they do. So you're right, but in Exhibit A, in the description of services, under A, that's the most best explanation that I could find within that contract.
And and it makes no sense whatsoever.
What's the old idiom? It's clear as mud.
Yeah,
Clear as mud.
Got a motion?
whatever lawyer wrote that, Donnie, they
Didn't right.
He did not.
must have been a Carolina grad or something.
Got it.
Concise.
Got a motion?
So moved.
Now everybody's scared.
Second. No, I'm good with it.
Standard operating procedure.
Discussion?
Forward, please.
All in favor? Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Kerry.
Next up, Mr. Diana North.
Good evening, Diane.
Hi, Diana. Great.
I didn't already know.
I did.
So I'm here for the approval for March's releases and refunds.
Still strong.
Yeah, I looked at those earlier. Really, the only question I has, the ones we know, the solid waste, those are easy. Some of them like the 50, 60, what are those usually attributed to? Just a reassessment or?
The exempt ones were a cemetery that was being taxed, and something happened in the system. I don't know why it became unexempt. So we went in and fixed those.
Tax deed.
Well, if they can vote, they should have
Just
to pay
generally,
taxes.
those are like $58, $2. Are those just adjustments in the value or something, or? how do
Where are
those
you
come?
seeing the 50? I'm sorry. Oh, I see that one. Those were business that had closed, but they had not notified the office.
Yeah.
Like rentals, vacation rentals that had sold and were no longer rentals.
The hideaway cabin.
Yeah.
Always like that, like, maybe.
Can we?
Small one,
Yeah, can we fix that for the future?
I tried to fix mine and I couldn't get it
I
fixed.
mean, that's ridiculous. I mean,
It's
even
the
when
way
you
it comes
blow
out of Farragut.
Even when you blow it up, you can't read it because then it distorts so bad you can barely read it. Why is that different than the other ones, Diana?
I'm not sure. That's just how it produces out of Farragut.
We can't demand the Farragut fix that for us?
We can try.
You need a motion?
I mean, we're paying for it. They should at least be able to make it.
Second motion,
Discussion? All in favor?
maybe Jamie can help.
She has a couple of handouts for us.
Yeah, this, I'll just let y'all take one and pass it around.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Diana.
Thanks, man.
Here's a handout coming in.
Oh, wait, is this the Law County?
It is.
County, whatever. What is
It's
it? How's it
proven to
pronounced?
be very
Tanya.
beneficial.
Tanya?
Yep.
So that's showing that after they sent demand letters in 2021, we were able to collect 58% without having to go through actual foreclosure.
Awesome.
And then that shows you the total in 21, what they collected for us. And just today, actually, I got a $15,000 check from them, so we're doing good with that.
So of the ones we've turned over to them, this would suggest that 100% have been paid of the ones we've turned over. Is that accurate?
So I wasn't in there for 21, of course. I'm not really sure how to answer that.
Commissioner Rector, what I think is that they have opened the 42
Open the file.
files, and they are still either filing a complaint or sending demand letters. Those are files that they're currently working on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because right now I have 68 in foreclosure and 10 of those are currently pending payment.
So the 58 and 42% apply to the 12 closed and resolved files. Is that what you're telling me, Don?
I think that, yes, yes, sir.
58 and 42 sound a lot more impressive than 12.
They do.
That's a good question.
However, the $162,462.66.
Yeah, I'm not trying to diminish what they've done. Don't get me wrong. Not trying to diminish what they've done. I'm just curious make sure I'm interpreting what they're,
Oh, yeah.
what they're claiming properly.
Of what they've closed and resolved, it's been 100%.
Yeah, cool.
That's pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
and Diana, they are very good to work with, right?
And
They're
it's
very
set
good to work with.
precedent that we expect people to pay their taxes.
Yes.
If they don't,
And I think word's getting out that this is taking place. I've had a lot of people coming in to pay.
They were a very confident group when we met with them down there when they came in. They were not cocky, but they were very confident.
Yeah.
And, I mean, no ego, but it was like, you send them, this will happen.
Yeah.
I thought, okay,
Yeah.
and sure enough.
And you said, we talked over you there, you said something, but I didn't hear it.
I have a lot of people coming in to pay because they know we're doing this now.
Okay, good. Very good.
that's a good question.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
thank you, Diana.
Good report.
All right,
Chairman?
I'm next on the agenda. We had discussed this, back in October, discussed it here lately too. This is the, life arms, automatic, CPR machines that we've got 4 departments that has them. Yesterday, we met with a group called Race Cars. They keep up with cardiac arrest in Madison County, North Carolina. So they came to Madison County yesterday. And what they do, they are looking to get times better with cardiac arrest, because early defibrillation is the trick there. So our county, for instance, I'll use Spring Creek. If you got somebody where you turn up metaphorical, it's cardiac arrest, you got somebody on the fire department that lives within a mile or so, they gotta go about 7 miles, 6, 7 miles to the fire department, turn around, get the defibrillator and come back. So what they're doing with AEDs now is they're wanting to push it out till maybe we can get them in churches. Everybody knows where the churches are in the community. That was, Norris was there for that meeting. We had a guy spoke that actually had went into cardiac arrest, and we had gotten back, and he was very, very appreciative. He probably spoke for, 15, 20 minutes, Norris.
Oh, yeah.
Good guy, works at French Broad Electric, so I brought that in with these life arms here. These life arms, now we will go work cardiac arrest out in the field. Normally, we're gonna work it for 30 minutes there, unless it's overdose, or a drowning, or a child. And the reason for that is, used to, we threw them in the back of the ambulance and we hightailed it to the hospital. But what they figured out over time was every time we stopped CPR to put them on the stretcher, get them down the steps, put them in the ambulance, it was taking over a minute to get back to where we were. So with new protocols, we can, if you have life arms, put them on there, you can load them up and take them, because once you put that thing on, it's going to do chest compression regardless of what you're doing. So that with the AED, it's just going to be a better chance of surviving if you are in cardiac arrest. So this year is just for 5 of the life arms, and that would be for, you see, the ones that's got it's Epps Chapel, Mars Hill, Marshall Lawrence. So that'd be for the other ones, the Laurel, Spring Creek, Country Hot Springs, Big Pine. So my question was, do we have it in the budget to do an amendment, Carrie? We are, it's $46,111.25.
Yes, you have the money, if you want to amend the amendment, if you want to add it to that one, or if you want to wait to the next meeting, I can present that at the next meeting for you.
Donnie, can we do it this meeting?
I mean, you can, if you want to authorize this expenditure, and then you can, if you authorize it, then you can do your budget amendment next month. You don't have to do it simultaneous.
Okay.
Can we use ARPA funds for this?
Well, early on, we discussed using ARPA funds, and we tried twice, and for whatever reason, they wouldn't they wouldn't let, no, I'm sorry, that was COVID money. So I don't know about the ARPA.
Yeah, I mean, if you supplant your ARPA monies, to get back to what I was explaining earlier, you supplant them, that your ARPA monies are gonna be monies that are gonna be available in your budget. So,
Mr. Chair, do you have the number of times that we have used the devices?
I know back in, I want to say December, now I'm guessing, I know Mars Hill alone had used theirs 15 or 16 times.
And gentlemen, you may or may not remember, memory is good. I tried with Dogwood twice. I ran up the flagpole twice, trying to ask them for this. I have a person that I work with. It looked good the first time, and then they just said they would not do it. I did the best I could.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion, we allocate the funding to purchase these 5 for these particular departments. They're not gonna have the money even with their fire tax, they have other operating expense. We've
I'll
discussed
say
that.
it.
Amen.
And I'd like to add that we use the surplanted ARPA fund money to do that.
I'll second that.
I just said amen. I'm good with this.
Discussion.
Move on
You
with.
got any, anybody got any questions?
Well, this is gives them everything they need to run these units, correct? It looks
It
like
does.
you also have, besides the 5 lifelines, you've got charging stations, and is that backup batteries for 'em?
It's one backup.
One backup battery for each pack? It
Yes,
says
for
5,
two.
only
Right,
5.
one for each pack.
Okay.
Yeah, not 5.
Okay.
And these things last for a long time. I do know Buncombe County was just doing a demonstration on one of these, and it ran an hour and a half, didn't miss a lick. So, and I've been on cardiac arrest, it's lasted an hour and 15, 20 minutes off of Spring Creek, so it's not unusual for them to at least go an hour.
I've
This-
done
this is
CPR as
consistent.
you have, and to do CPR for 45 minutes, it's
I thought I was the only one dying after 15. No, I'm serious. I mean, I really was. I was dizzy. I was sweating.
and it's fair to say, I commend the departments that have been able to pool the resources, the financial abilities and purchase these. Some just aren't gonna be able to anytime in the near future.
That this is providing an equal service across the county for every citizen.
And can we, just for the record, state what 5 again are gonna get this?
It's Laurel, Big Pine, Country, Hot Springs, and Spring Creek. It's those.
And as y'all very well know, this is our first arm, our first leg of our emergency management system. I mean, it's our emergency medical services.
Well, what we
They're
run
gonna
into,
get there first.
what we run into of a day is it's a volunteer, and you're lucky to get 1 or 2 a day. Now, at night, you have all kinds of help, but you know, if a spook shows up on a cardiac arrest, and there's an ambulance coming from Mars Hill, or Mars going to Spring Creek, or from Hot Springs going to Mars Hill, they like for us to switch out if we're doing manual CPR every 2 minutes. Because after 4 or 5 minutes, you start getting it under 100. So these things will help tremendous.
Let's see, I had a question about that. Oh, as far as our EMS contracted service, do they have them on their trucks? Or
No,
do they plans
these
to?
things are pretty big and bulky, and honestly, they ain't room, and the fire department's normally get there before us, unless it's just right in town. So it's just makes sense to have it at the fire department instead of on around.
Good point.
All in favor? Matt, you got
No, I was just gonna ask, what's the plan for the fire departments to make sure that whoever's first on the scene is the one that has the unit?
they'll put it on the rescue truck.
So it'll be dedicated to the rescue truck?
Yeah.
We'd already voted on it. I was just asking for clarification purposes. My vote didn't hinge on that.
I'll vote again if you want to. I think it's wonderful. Yeah, let's vote again. I'll vote again.
So what do we need to do for Carrie?
She'll just need to do a
you'll have to
budget.
do a budget.
Purchase
You'll
order,
have to do a
we'll approve
budget.
it next time.
Purchase order and a budget.
Okay. Can we do that this time? Or?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. We can go ahead and issue the PO based on this and then approve it at the next meeting.
You got that, Carrie?
Yeah.
Thank you. Guy was down 7, so we just need 5 of them. So, getting back to the AEDs, they're about $2,500. I do know, every fire department's got one. Mars Hill's got 2, maybe Laurel's got 2 because they added that other truck. So if anybody knows any big people wanting to get some tax write-offs, that would be a good way. Because these people we met with yesterday, they're gonna go after a grant. And we got in there, and that's how we figured out that the best place to put them, or one better place to put them, is a church. People knows. And also, they put in there for law enforcement having their car. Because, Michael, you know as well as I do, they may be a law enforcement on, up on the head of Laurel, and that call come in. And sometimes law enforcement's the first one there too. So just makes sense. Hopefully we can get a grant moving on that. All right. Next is Mr. Norris.
All right, and I hope all of this is in the book. I apologize for the fact we didn't bring enough of those copies back to pass around. And if everyone's good, we'll put that at the back end of my report. You think we're gonna have time to review it, or do we need to move?
As long-winded as you are, usually I'll probably have enough time to finish
All
it.
right, we'll see how that goes. All right.
Thank you, Norris.
First off, golden leaf. There are times when you have a happy dance, and this community had one of those the last few days. All 3 of the golden leafs were approved. Spring Creek received $450,000 of its request. That will actually come through the county because the county owns that building. This facility got slightly over $300,000, which was most of what they asked for the value-added kitchen. And the school system got $487,500 for the new career and technical education programs. So kudos to all those people, dozens and dozens and dozens of people in this community that worked together for way over a year to pull that off. And I think that it just really speaks well for the community working together to help the community. So happy dance time. Courthouse update. We have had 3 meetings so far with the courthouse advisory group, and then one for a little delay for this Thursday. And we're moving right along. The architects have informed us, Donnie, that next phase can be done within the legal limits that we have discussed, so we will not have to go out for an RFQ. We could approve that, Michael, on Thursday to proceed. And I think that probably after Thursday, our group may be ready to present a formal to the board. So this is moving along, I think, well. You got anything you'd like to add for that?
No, just like I say, all the options are being weighed. People wonder how we're gonna proceed with what funds we have, which in today's market are minimal in comparison to cost of inflation. But we're looking at all avenues, and that includes renovation, it includes annexation of building, or remodeling annex, leasing property, building a new justice center. So the architect, the money we're spending on that will be time and money well spent to give us expert opinion and expert options as to how we should proceed forward. So I think it's progressing well.
Yeah, and we're meeting up at 4 o'clock this Thursday. Number 3 is the Beach Glen house. I didn't go by today. Matt, did you get a chance to go by?
I did not.
I know it's in demo.
I went by and looked at the garbage site instead of going by
Yeah.
Beach Glen. I only had time to do one.
Yep. And so that's coming down. We have a problem at the Bone Camp Collection Center. And Sam Now, it's been a little bit of the weekend, and he spent a lot of time since. It does appear that the state will be helping us out, but it's going to be closed again for several more days. Those of you who are not familiar with Bone Camp, it goes across a state culvert that is the road and is the gate, and that culvert has failed after all these years. And so we'll get it back open as soon as the state can get that culvert fixed, and that will be just that. And they're continuing to make progress on that.
That's the state's expense, correct?
Yes, we've not heard, Sam, anything different on that today, have we?
No, they're still checking on right of ways, different things, but yeah, they're still getting a final answer on that. They're out there today doing this and stuff, so,
Yeah. Yeah.
see.
One other thing about the courthouse, we did contact and got a good response from the masonry students at the high school. And that poor group that's working on that, they're just overextended all over the place. So now the masonry students at the high school will actually do the brickwork to finish those for us.
We're talking about the Charters of Freedom?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep, so that will give those students an opportunity to take part in that. We'll make sure they get a nice plaque and recognition for that. And got a very good response from the staff and the students. I met with them all down there yesterday. And actually, the students are really looking forward to it because they're going to be involved in something that they can come back in 5, 10, 20, 25 years and pat that brickwork and say, hey, son or daughter or grandson, I actually did this right here. So that's a really, really neat thing.
You know, that really is. I mean, that's a good feature. When I was in high school, the cabinet making class I was in made the lieutenant governor's desk. And so, I mean, it's cool to go back there and say, you know, I made that.
Put my hand on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next item has to do with the standard application that we have every year for the Public School Building Capital Fund, North Carolina Education Lottery. The school system form is here. It's already signed by the chair of the school board for $410,000 of those lottery funds, for which come through us, but they're not really our money. And this is dedicated to the debt payment for the heating and air conditioning units that were installed in the schools. And this is part of the debt service that was in that original agreement. And the money goes exclusively for the construction project and debt service. And we do need board approval on that $410,000 of lottery fund transfer.
Motion to approve.
Second.
How much does that, oh, sorry, discussion.
Discussion.
Sorry. How much does that leave? If we spend that money, how much does that leave them?
That money comes directly from the state.
Yeah.
We don't hold those funds. This application will be sent back to the Department of Public Instruction for their approval, and then they will tell me to write a check on their bank.
So we don't know, but to answer the question, I guess we don't know how much they have sitting out there in lottery funds they can utilize, is what I'm saying?
I don't have that.
Can you find out?
I will find out.
Cool, I'm just curious to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All in favor?
All right. The next one is the letter for our auditors. This is for the continuation of their services. And Donnie has reviewed this. In fact, we had another conversation relative to it today because of another process that we will be going through for audits that have to be independent later on for the ARPA monies and others, but it does not affect this letter of engagement. The auditors have retained the same fee schedule that we had this year. They did not raise their fee. And so this is for the 2022 engagement letter with the Malden Jenkins accounting firm. Gary, you got anything else you'd like to add for that? Okay,
How many
Donnie?
years in a row will this make that they've done our?
3?
I believe we began with them in 2018.
18th of the Lord. Fine. That's longer than I thought. Johnny, anything to add? Okay. I will move that we approve the engagement letter for Malden Jeans.
Second. Discussion. Favor?
All right, the next item that you have is the Jail Health Services MOU. This again is a standard operating document. It engages a lot of us, okay? In addition to Mark's signature on this, will require the sheriff's signature, the director of the Health Corrections, the pharmacist, and the health department director, and the chair of the Board of Health. So this requires a lot of approval. But this is the joint memorandum of understanding between the Madison County Health Department, the Madison County Sheriff's Office, Health Corrections, Madison Pharmacy for jail health services.
Anything changed in this from the previous contract norms?
No.
Cost, nothing?
Same, Don.
This really isn't the contract, this is approving the sheriff's procedure and plan.
Yeah.
Now, part of the plan is the telemedicine and the pharmacy plans and all of those things that you have already funded and approved. But the general statutes require that the sheriff tender to you each year his plan to take care of medical services in jail. That is a plan that has to be approved by your local health director. So I believe we've got the plan. That the plan is consistent with what the sheriff has tendered in the past, and it appears to be thorough and complete to my unmarked eye. What you want to rely upon is the review of that by your health director, because there's your professional in health services. And if this looks adequate to you, then I would sign it after your health director's execution of it, because the statute says that you can approve it only after the recommendation of the health director.
Correct. Okay.
So we don't approve it till.
Well, I think you can authorize execution of it upon
The
approval of the health.
And Matt, do you know if it's come before your board yet or not?
I don't recall specific discussions about it. I do know that Tammy had indicated that she was in discussions with the sheriff's department.
Yeah, that's where I've been at. I haven't had her officially tell me that her board is approved.
Yes, to the best of my recollection, no, but,
So authorization to sign upon approval of the board.
We're the last party to sign it.
Yeah.
Everybody else approves it, tenders it to us, because we are health professionals.
Correct. Okay. Motion.
Second.
Discussion. Still reading the plan.
no, we're good.
Okay.
I was looking for something else that I had a question about, but go ahead. Not on this.
Okay.
All right. I have a handout, gentlemen, and I'm going to read some comments into the record. All right. Here's a copy. The required funding for the collection and disposal of solid waste in Madison County for the fiscal year 2022-2023 needs to be budgeted at $2.5 million for operations under the current structure. Now, we are in the process of looking at options that might reduce that required cost. The board has instructed me, and I have met with Sam and with Carrie, and we will continue to follow the board's instructions in that direction. We also need to set aside funds for the closure of the remaining cell in the future. Now, how we collect the necessary funds depends on a series of processes, many regulated, and the largest source of revenue are the residential card fees at approximately $1.9 million a year. If that revenue source was moved into the general fund, the overall property tax rate would need to be appropriately increased. The final tax rate will be determined by the requirements of the overall county budget, not just one single part. Please correct my typo there. Not just one single part. Doing away with a card fee would not do away with the necessity to have a way to identify who has paid property taxes in Madison County. If a property owner has multiple tenants, each tenant would also need to have a form of identification. Otherwise, the solid waste system would be overrun by non-Madison County residents. A major issue has been the recent decision to comply with the legal required necessity to charge all nonprofits for the use of the solid waste system. Our new ordinance provides the BOC, the board, with the flexibility to reduce or eliminate that fee with a subsidy from the general fund, like the senior program. An estimate of $40,000 in additional funds to the current $150,000 for the senior program would be required. There are at least 3 options available. First, no change at all. Second, cover the nonprofits with the same process we use currently for qualified seniors. And third, place the solid waste budget into the general operating budget of the county, just like every other department. If option 3 is taken, users of the solid waste system crossing the scales at the landfill transfer station on Rudisill Road in Marshall would pay any additional fees beyond their annual property taxes, and recycling and certain other activities would also continue. A 2-tier departmental budget would be developed. One for the annual operating costs for solid waste, and an annual reserve account by any other name for future equipment, other investment requirements to maintain and upgrade and replace as needed our collection centers, and including adequate funds to close the remaining cell to ensure continued proper funding to this essential public service. If the operations of solid waste are moved to the property tax from the enterprise fund, separate card fees, there would be no total revenue increase necessary. It would only be how the county collects the operational funds for solid waste. The total required revenue collected, any way we did it, would be the same dollars. As we continue with our budget process for 22-23, we are faced with the highest inflation of our lifetimes. Government is not immune from inflation, and the majority of our revenue is locked in the property values that are set and do not rise with inflation until the next reevaluation. Now, yes, there is new construction being constantly added to our book of values, but it is nowhere near the level of inflation. This budget year will be very difficult. How we set our budget for every department and all the other required expenses will determine what our final budget and tax rate will be. I am confident We will continue to develop a sound, prudent, and balanced budget. Respectfully submitted by your interim county manager.
Open floor for discussion.
Just in the interest of, I've got 136 pages of documents. I'd like to have these 5 ahead of time.
I'm sorry, sir?
I would like to have had these 5 ahead of time. We've discussed all this, but I kind of like to have time to look and assess the value. I'd like to have these ahead of time. Future reference.
Okay.
And the how part is important. We understand it's not, and we're going through this. I mean, as a team, we're going through it, but it's important when you uppercase the word how, that you also, it's not just how, but who pays for it. Because it's going to have an impact. No matter what we do is going to have an impact on different classes of people regardless. So it's not just a how we're going to pay for it, but who. So I say all that said, the decisions we're trying to make are going to have consequences across the board. And we've all decided there's not a perfect way. We're just trying to find the best way that's most applicable to this county and that fits our need the best. And there's going to be people that doesn't like it no matter what we do. And that how's going to have a big part of that. Otherwise, we'd have done something a long time ago.
Well, and this
is nothing against Sam. Sam does a good job, and I think we all can agree on that.
And we are continuing to look at the direction of the board of options to reduce the cost. Again, how and who, Michael. And in that umbrella discussion, the final revenue package that we put together, as we're almost done with our departmental meetings, we know that we have got enormous work to get this budget balanced. We're not sharing anything. All these meetings have been public. Some of you have come to all the work sessions. You sit there, so you know what it said. And the other part, and Carrie and some of the rest of us have talked about, and I'm not a skies falling person, but this year will be a preview of 23-24. We will have an incredible, difficult time in 23-24. The simple truth of the matter is, and it's out there, the cost of doing everything continues to rise. And I've got to repeat a major part of this. Our property values are set. And we may get 400 new houses this year. And we may get new businesses and industry. But that value that is on most of our property is set to the next reevaluation. So each year, the value of what we get off of that effectively declines by the rate of inflation. And that is a real basic business fact when you look at the monies that we have to establish and maintain all of our essential services. And another thing that we're all very, very much aware of, the cost of personnel. Now, we don't have a lot of luxury, extra folks around Madison County. There's almost every department has personnel needs. And we do not pay our people exceptionally well. And it does not take long to add up the fact that we've been looking at that. We've talked about that for years. Every member of this board has said in one way or the other that particularly our lowest paid employees really, really need help.
Agreed.
So, folks, it's going to be a tough year. And Michael, I would have gotten it out to you, but I didn't finish it hardly in time to run copies of it.
No problem.
Yep. I literally finished it ran copies right before I came.
I'm a firm believer in the transparency of what we do, that the meetings are open, that we do have to make tough decisions, and that everything's on the table to make those decisions. And to know there's no magic pill in any of the decisions.
Well, all right. County owns surplus property. A bid of $2,777 for PIN number 9769-19-3641 was placed with a deposit of $195 being received. The property contains 1/2 acre with a tax value of $10,724. The Board of Commissioners voted at our March 8, 2022 meeting to accept the offer, and the advertisement for upset bids was published with none being received. A vote to accept the offer for final, deny the offer, or counter the offer is requested on behalf of the board. This particular piece of property,
Both of them are at Chapel.
yeah, it's attached, this is in Beach Glen, and it is a vacant, undeveloped. Matt, it's not in yours.
No, it's not in our neighborhood. I'm not sure where it is.
I'm looking here, I've got this. Diana, might you help us with it?
PIN number?
Last 3641. First four is 9769.
You know, Matt?
I'm on it, I mean, I can go look in detail.
Yeah.
Got the other one up already.
I think it's gonna be your Ed Chapel area, but I could be wrong.
It is, yeah.
Says township. Beach Glen.
Well, we've got a bid of $2,777 on a 1/2 acre.
So that's 20% of what it's worth.
We approved it already, we're just approving
We're
it
just-
now, the upset.
we
I
did
make
the
a
auto
motion to
too.
accept it, sell it.
Second. Discussion.
I think it's time to move on.
All in favor?
Put it on the tax books.
All right.
All right, county board appointments.
Don't we have two?
Whoops,
It's not, was there two in there?
hang on a minute.
One of them was a bid, was an, place to bid for a piece of property.
I don't show another one. Do you have another one?
That's all one I have.
So, and just for that property card says that the township is Beach Glen, but the fire district is Ebbs Chapel. So I'm gonna guess that's over maybe California Creek area somewhere.
Yeah,
around that
somewhere
way.
in that no man's land.
Yeah,
So we're probably up on California Creek.
Give me just a minute.
Just-
But we put it back on the tax books.
just for the sake of argument there.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, before we move on to the board appointments discussion, can I ask county attorney a question?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
So on the Maximus contract, I'd forgotten to ask, I knew I had another question I wanted to ask, but I didn't find it until a few minutes ago. That, the beginning of that contract actually says, the first sentence of that contract says the contract between Maximus and Person County, not Madison County. So do we need to change anything?
You can, the addendum that we added on to that will make it a Madison County contract, because a lot of the contracts that we get are boilerplate contracts.
Right.
And they have, and what Maximus is, it's a boilerplate contract, what they send. You've had the contract with Maximus.
For as long as I've worked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
one of those things that's renewed and they send it to us. And they have sent that up on a form. Just the only thing that changes with it every time it's renewed is the amount. And they increase that, but the addendum that you approve to add onto that, Mr. Westbrook will fix that and identify that as a Madison County.
All right, just make sure we didn't need to do anything.
It's a good item.
Okay. All right, we ready, guys?
Yes, sir.
So Kerry, it's just for your reference, it's the first sentence, second line of the service agreement.
All right, we ready to proceed with board vacancies?
Yeah, I'm gonna check the screen's going crazy here. Good.
All right, we have a couple on here. From the top, we have a board vacancy for the Economic Development Board. And we do have one that came in later today, and I did not have access to. Mandy fixes this, she's on vacation. But we did receive another application, and it's from Alice McVeigh from Spring Creek. And we also have one other there for Ms. Edwards, Economic Development Board.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to entertain a discussion amongst us to not take any action on that at this time for two reasons. One is, we have just found out about the vacancy. I have anyway, and I serve as a liaison on the Economic Development Board and on.
And they have requested. Yes.
And the board itself would like to have sufficient time to.
No problem at all.
I agree.
No problem at all. All right. We have a vacancy on the library board. And there is a recommendation from the library board, and we have deferred on this repeatedly, to add for Elizabeth Ayers, to be appointed to that for a 3-year term.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Okay.
Good addition.
And then we have one last one, and it is for a continuation for 3 years for Craig Goforth to continue on the Animal Control
So
Board.
moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Sure.
All right.
Don't act like you didn't want that.
I have to do it, man.
Oh, yeah, if you want to go home and lay down,
Yeah,
I'll sleep
I
with one
don't,
eye open.
I have to do it. We all know why.
Mr. Chairman, I now move that we go to closed
What
session.
about the
Yeah, we
contract?
need to go back to.
Okay, we can go back, or we can add it afterwards, but either way.
Well, I don't want to make Ross have to stay.
Okay.
Well, did he stay?
No, he's gone.
Okay, I was saying, I don't want to pay Ross to just stand around, so.
Let's just deal with it. Move on.
Motion. Do I have a motion first?
Commissioner Wechter wants us to go back and deal with something before we go to.
No, this is,
This is
this-
the con, this is
That's what we're
contract.
talking about.
The,
Maxim's contract.
Okay.
no, this is the RFQ for Marshall Marcel.
yeah,
Gotcha.
so.
I don't have a couple of questions, but I said let's knock it out. Let's
Knock it out.
Be done with it. If that's.
Sure, sounds good to me. Go ahead.
I just noticed, and it's RFQ, it's request for qualifications, not
Yes,
the
yes.
project. But I did notice that it's in the very first section, a gravity sewer system, line extension, and a water line extension. So it's just a general statement, but if you go on to the couple pages over, in this, the section, it says, section A5E, be on the left side of the page, on the back side, about halfway down, section A5E, says similar projects, that they would have to provide 3 references from similar projects. Donnie, is that specific enough? I mean, what similar projects that they've done? Gravity sewer systems and?
It would be, it would have to be where they have done water and sewer expansion, designs for municipalities is generally where
Or do we
it
need
is.
to spell that a little more, or is it in there somewhere?
I think
That's just the only thing I saw.
If you need it to be more specified, we certainly can have Mandy clean that part up. There's not a problem with that, Commissioner Harris.
Well, and along those same lines, my concern would be that we're not gonna get water and sewer past Petersburg doing strictly gravity fed.
Right.
So there's gonna have to be some pumping involved in both directions of water and sewer. So
Yeah, the
that's more of a
$13
key.
million that you've got, you're not going to get water and sewer probably even up to French Broad.
I understand that, but this is to scope the project for the entirety of 213, is it not?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, if you're asking them to do the
So
entire
pumping is a key,
process, yeah.
is a key.
Yeah, so you can include gravity and
Pumping is a,
Well, you can put all capacities necessary to complete corridor between the two.
I think that's,
Tell us what needs to be done. That's what
let's
we're doing.
say the 213 corridor.
Yes, we can do that.
I'll get with Donnie and we will edit appropriately.
I think we're all in agreement funding will not be sufficient, current funding, but
We
it gives us
a
an
call.
opportunity
Yeah.
to,
She'll get us a plan.
yeah, exactly.
All right? Very good suggestion.
Well, it's the old saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right, Don?
I make a motion, we, accept it, with the noted
And a
modifications.
copy will be provided to all board members before it is sent out.
I second. Discussion? No, all in favor?
Makes sense. Copy to all.
Who made the motion?
Commissioner Garrison, and I second.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. All right, now, Mr. Chairman, I move that we go to closed session for contract, personnel, and legal. Case of Frisbee versus Madison County, case number 122CV 0064.
Will be AGS 143-318, period 11A6, 143-318, period 11A7. I say we take a,
Well, I move we go to closed session.
we're going.
Second.
All in favor?
Mr. Chair, I move we return to open session for personnel.
I'll second that.
Ms. Brooke?
The library is requesting the hire of Casey Edwards as a substitute circulation assistant.
I'll make that.
I'll second.
All discussion, all in favor?
The landfill is requesting approval for Craig Baker as a recycle truck driver.
Make the motion to approve that.
Second, all in favor?
And landfill is also requesting the hire of Gregory Stanton as a substitute collection center attendant.
Makes motion,
Second.
all in favor? All right, thank you, Brooke.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we return to closed session for legal and attorney-client privilege.
Second.
Discussion.
Economic, sorry, and economic development. Okay, sorry.
I'm just curious, I thought one of the discussions we were supposed to have tonight was on RFQ on the landfill services. Is that not gonna happen?
We are still gathering all sorts of stuff, okay? And I even have a folder here. Sam and I are meeting again in the morning, on additional stuff. We just this afternoon received copies of the Yancey County current contract from Lynn when we met last week. We so far have information from Pearson County, information from Chatham County, and information from Hertford, the town of. Okay?
Yeah.
But we are still,
That's good. I just wanna make sure I wasn't getting, kicked to the curb.
no, hey, right here's, I even haven't had a chance, nor has Sam, to print off Lynn's stuff,
Good
which
enough.
was a result of the meeting last week, and she sent that over late this afternoon.
That's fine. And that might be my fault, but I thought, well, I was
Well,
anticipating.
we were hoping we'd be a little further along, but it's,
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Yes, sir.
You can go ahead and vote now. Sorry.
okay.
Make a motion.
Okay, and remember, it's economic development, attorney-client privilege, and legal. I think that covers everything.
Who done
we
the
need.
motion?
I had Norris and Craig.
Okay, all in favor? All right.
All right, we will.
back in.
Second.
All in favor?
Mr. Chairman, I move that Madison County employ Jamie Stokes to represent the county in the case of Frisbee versus Madison County, case number 122-CV-00064.
Second.
Discussion.
All in favor?
Motion adjourned.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Amen.
All in favor? Thank you.